Hey class, this is Nick. I'm going to give you guys a small tutorial today on how to adjust line weights for elevations. And the idea of the elevation is to try to communicate something about the volumes so that you can read the mass. Another important feature is to think about the material that's found in the elevation, so you can read the changes from one material to another. So why don't we go ahead and start. We're looking at some drawings of the Bauhaus by Walter Gropius, and I've already got them queued up in Autocad here. And you can see like this is just a generic line drawing right now. It doesn't have any line weights. We really can't read much. So I want to try to look at some drawings that I found online of the Bauhaus to try to understand what I'm seeing when I see these masses here. So why don't I go ahead and do maybe a split screen. I'll see if I can make this work here. If I go into my Firefox. Let's see. There we go. Ah, perfect. Okay. So if we're looking at it at the Bauhaus, what I'm actually looking at is this back elevation. So you can see that there is a recess that is here, and there's this main block and this main block. This is probably not the most celebrated one of the facades of this building, but it's what I have good drawings of, so we're going to go with that. This area is kind of more interesting. But if you look at it, you can definitely see that there are these blocks of windows that are just like ever so slightly coming out. You can see there's this large grouping of windows, and the other piece, in the other places, it's just these kinds of bands. And then there is a recess here where there are these columns, and a recess down here where there's probably a basement level that has some clear story windows. So again, it's important to understand the building in the first place. And here's another image of, you can see this corner here is actually this corner here. And so just to get a read of the mass, just a very slight piece. And so when we draw this, you can see that if I'm looking at it from far enough away, I can barely pick out what's happening here, the fact that there is a recess. And you can also see that there is this edge. Let's take a look and see if we can find some images of that edge here. So if I go to if I go online here, let me get my Wi-Fi turned back on. Let's see. Yes. Okay. So there's a very slight edge that extends out. Also note the color. You can see the white bands contrast the kind of natural stone or concrete color of these lower windows. The glass here has an almost kind of grayish blue tint, which might be something we can use. So there's this really high contrast. So it's kind of dark, light, dark, and then of course a dark edge to kind of give us a silhouette of the building. So before you begin to draw anything, before you begin to adjust the weights, really get a sense of the building that you're trying to draw. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is begin to isolate things into volumes, and what we're going to do is we're going to outline those volumes with some kind with a line weight. And actually, before I do that, the file that I have is like yours, so I have a file that just has everything on the 0 layer, and I don't have my templates. So I'm going to go ahead and go to copy, and then I'm going to open up my template, my second year template, and I'm going to go ahead and paste this. And I'm just going to paste it at 0, 0, which is fine. And Z all to zoom out. Great. And if I don't like the little coordinate thingy here, I can say UCS icon off. That's the universal coordinate system icon. It really doesn't matter if you're working only in 2D. It's helpful if you're working in 3D. Okay. So first thing I want to do is let's take a look at all these. Make sure that okay. So interesting. Okay. Everything is on the 0 layer, and so what I can do is I can either trace things with the computer, or I can move them to another layer in order to change their color. But the first thing that I am going to do is adjust the weight of the ground. That's always something that we can kind of like depend on. In fact, I think I'm actually just going to trace these things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and lock layer 0. So you can see that when I hit the lock icon, I just clicked on the lock here, and that turns gray. What that means is that I can't select it. Well, I can select it, but I can't do anything to it, and I can snap to it, so I won't accidentally edit that, and that's nice for kind of tracing. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to our ground weight here. So I just paused it. I just noticed a little bug here. In my file, I think I had this color wrong for the template. It should be 7, which is actually black, but it shows up as white here. Just want to make a note of that. But that's actually the first color that I want to use. The first thing I want to do is establish the ground. So if I go set my layer to layer 6, should be a 0.8 line weight. I'm going to go ahead and draw or trace the ground. And look at my snaps. Really only want intersection and endpoint snaps on. You can go ahead and turn off all those other snaps. Just going to make things less annoying for you as you go. I think in our case, tracing is going to be the best way to do this. I'm going to turn off ortho too, and as my ground. And let's take a look at it. If I go into my layouts, I have the 11x17 layout. Now I can see it's not actually really centered. So I want to make sure that I'm always kind of thinking about what size this is going to print to. Let's take a look. I double click out. Click on this. Looks like the scale doesn't have a scale. Well, 1/8 is too big. 1/16 is too big. 1/36. This is going to be one of those instances where I might have to have a scale somewhere between. Let's go ahead and do 1/16. This might not print very well on 11x17. I might need to make two layouts here. So let me do a layout here, and then let me go and duplicate this one. I'll just call 11x17 2. For now, not a very good solution here. And I'll go to this one, and I will hopefully be able to just kind of slide this over. Whoa, undo. Just for our sake, so I'm going to pan over. I'll try to get as much of this in as I can so I can really see the difference here. Okay. This really needs a bigger layout. And the scale that I used again was 1/16. Good enough. Yeah, and if we were really going to do this as a final plot, I'd probably use a bigger layout. But for now, let's just use this. This is going to help us understand what we're seeing. So if I go to plot, let's make sure that it's all set up right. I'm using the 830 plot style. That's the one I had that I fixed the gray. Paper size is going to be 11x17. Let's see. Yep. 1:1 inches. 11x17. Horizontal. Yes. Preview. Okay. And note, that layer 1 right now doesn't really have any. Whoa. Well, that's right, because everything is the same line weight right now. Okay, but that's right. I want my ground line to be fairly dark. So let's go ahead and get back to Autocad here. Okay, so if I go back to model space, I can start laying things out. So the big idea is to start to establish the three different volumes that I have. You can see that these are roughly in the same position. Let me see if I can refresh this. Let's look at the plans and get a good sense of the depth here. Hang on a second. There we go. Let's see if I thought I had a set of floor plans for this.
Yeah, okay, here we go. Yeah, so this pops out like a little bit in front of this. So we can go ahead and give that like a slightly heavier weight. Later on, we might understand hierarchically that that doesn't matter so much, but let's go ahead and go with that assumption for now. So the second thing I'm going to do is go ahead and isolate the main volumes that I have. So I'm going to go ahead and I really want to kind of like it's like the kind of top block and this top block, and then remember this is going to pop under slightly. So the next line weight that I have is this 0.65, which is going to be the sort of like magenta weight. So I go to that layer, and I can go in, and I might use the rectangle tool to kind of make short work of this here. And I'll go ahead and actually, because I do need to use the tool, because what I want to do is actually get, and this may not work because of how small that is. That may bunch together. I'll have to find out when I see it. Okay. And actually, since I don't have too many line weights, I'm going to go ahead and make the call that I'm just going to do both volumes. We can always mess with it later. Right now I'm trying to establish hierarchy in the drawing. Okay, so we've got these two main blocks. You can see these are already starting to pop out from what's on that white layer. And that's a good thing to do, just to kind of check and see like what you've got in your drawing. Let's go back to the reference material again. Yeah, kill my Wi-Fi. Okay. Yeah, so if I go, I had this really nice image, like here. Okay. Yeah, so this pulls back slightly, and it's the same kind of material as this. So I might make the choice to kind of make that recess a similar material. So if that's there, I'm actually going to go ahead and skip down a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and make this a 0.35, as opposed to just skipping down to the 4, which is a 0.5. You really want to make a pretty big jump so that the difference is clear. So I'm going to go to the layer 3, and then I'm going to go ahead, and I don't trace all the edges. I just trace the edges, right, because this is overlapping. Okay. And the other thing that I'm going to do with this color is I'm going to trace the window, the kind of punch of the window. There's a volume, right, that's actually removed here. And let's take a look at that reference again to make sure. Oh, actually, no. Okay, so it's actually each one of these is a punch. And each one of these is a punch. So I'm going to go ahead. And when I say punch, I mean like a subtraction, to use the kind of terminology we have. I'm not sure what this drawing is exactly reading. I think this is kind of just it's kind of like a relief joint if we look at the image. It's barely visible. I'm not sure it really registers, but in this drawing it did. So I'm going to go ahead and click this. And now to restart a command, you just press return or enter. And so I'm just going to quickly do this. The other thing you can do is if that takes too many clicks, right? Take this, I can say copy. And now we're moving along here. So copy pan, copy pan. Take a look at that. Let's go back. Let's finish this other side now. And again, since this is kind of pulled back in a similar way, I'm going to go ahead and kind of associate that. I'm going to go ahead and say that that's hierarchically what's happening. Go ahead and drop one of these here. And again, the idea is to try to read the space and sort the volumes and control the drawing so that you help the viewer understand what should be seen first and what should be seen second and what should be seen third. And in fact, you know, because these things kind of pull back in space, I might go ahead and do I'm going to go ahead and do this one as well with that. I mean, obviously, if you look at the drawing, this is pulled back further than like this, right? These are not the same thing, but what we are thinking about is just relatively, in terms of the way that the drawing is set up. We're trying to control what the viewer sees. It's not about exactly sorting things out and saying this comes first, and then you see this, and then you see that. It is to some degree, but you only have so many line weights, and there's only so many things that the viewer can actually kind of see. So we have to kind of make some compromises. Forgot to. Let's make. If we're really gonna do a preview for this thing, yeah, these aren't very useful. So let's go and make this non-printable, and then we can see what we've got here. Okay. So you can really start to see what's happening in this plot. And in fact, I mean, oh wow, I mean, just because of the size of everything on the screen, we might have to adjust things a bit. The nice thing is that if we have things on different layers, it's easy to adjust those weights. I like the hierarchy, but I do think that this ground line at this scale is just a little bit too dark. Let's go back to the layout. We might have just the wrong size layout here. So if we look at it, I think I had, 1/16. For a 1/16, that might read a bit too dark. Let's just check it out at 1/8 real quick. Can always go back and change it. Go to preview. Yeah, slightly better. I don't know, it's still pretty dark though. Okay, let's just get out of that. It's important to kind of check as you go too. So I'm going to go ahead and hopefully be able to undo some of this. Okay, let's go back to the drawings. Okay, so we got my volumes. Let me see here. I might actually go ahead and change those to a 4. You gotta be careful to control your drawing. Let's take a look at that again. Yeah, something was really weird with this. Let's make sure that I've got my, yeah, let's see, fit to paper, no, that's the problem. Okay, 17, I've lost my settings, gotta check that. Okay, 1:1, no scale line weights. There you go, okay. Alright. Let's make sure that I guess I'm not in my layout, which is probably the problem. Okay. Yeah, 30, no, 17. Print layout, 1:1. Okay. That's better. You notice the difference though? Like you don't, what you want, the ground needs to be heavy. These need to read but not dominate what you're trying to see. I think it's a much better
piece. A lot of this is iterative and just kind of playing with it. You rarely just sit down and knock it out. Okay. Yeah, that's not bad. Okay, so let's go back to the model again. Turn on our lines. Okay. So the next piece that we have, and actually yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and look at that image again. Yeah, this is the one. Okay, so this definitely comes out, and this goes underneath that. So we need to set up a second hierarchy there. So I'm going to go ahead and use the green that I used before, this 0.35 that I had, and I'm going to go ahead and use that for these lines here. And I'm actually going to go ahead and use that for the parapet as well. Even though it sticks out, I don't have enough weights to really articulate that. But if I use the same weight and I kind of double it, it should actually make these read. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And if it doesn't look good, I will change it. And that's just the way it goes. All right, let's go back to our layout again. Plot this guy. Again, let's just double check. Yep. Okay, I think it doesn't save settings until you actually plot it. Yeah, not bad. Do you see how these kind of pop out and this kind of pulls back into the background? That's not bad. Yeah, I'm liking this hierarchy. Okay, good deal. Let's go back to the model again. I think what I want to do is have, let's see, and then I think the next level down is going to be this kind of point, this 0.2, and I don't really want to redraw all this stuff, so I'm just going to pick all of that and I'm going to make that a layer 2. Easy peasy. All right. Let's see here, and then this is also kind of off to the side here. So those are a 2. I don't think those are a 3. So I'm actually going to go ahead and knock them down to a 2 also. Again, even though these are out in front, hierarchically, these are just entries to the doors. Like I really don't need to emphasize them too much. Okay, so these are also going to go down to 2. Okay. This is kind of important though. This piece is the kind of front. I'm using the green, so I might actually go ahead and make these into a 4 here. So if I go ahead and lock this again, and go to layer 4. Yep. I don't know. We'll see. Now the stairs kind of pop out because they are stairs, and as does my kind of overhang. If you want to see what I'm drawing here, it's let's see if I can find a good image of it. Let me see here. Now that's that right there, but it's not really showing up. Let's see. Let's go to my other images. I thought there was a good one of it. Well, it's basically just a doorway that pops out, so I don't really need to invest a lot in it. And then I guess I'll go ahead and take a step down from there. I'm actually going to trim this. I'm not sure why it's not trimmed in my drawing, but okay. So let's kind of pop out a little bit. See how it's actually starting to set out, where this kind of this pulling back, this is popping out. Okay, now we got to figure out how we're going to treat the
the glazing, the windows. Remember, a lot of the times what we're doing is basically just a texture. So a lot of times we're having it read as just a 0.9. So I think what I'm going to do is make these a 0.2. So I'm going to go ahead and undo. Oops. Go ahead and unlock this again. I'm just going to go ahead and select these, and we're going to change these to a layer 2. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same with these for consistency's sake. These are all going to be a layer 2. And I do this because they're not the lowest one, because they are actually kind of prominent in the facade. If we go back to this image, these things really do dominate. They are a gridded element that really stands out. So I think that's the choice I'm going to make with it. And then the other ones I think are going to drop down to the lowest one, which is our 9. So if I go into here, I'm going to drop these down to layer 1, which is again 0.09. Important thing to do if you have lines that you really want back in the back, you can right click and you want to change the draw order. You want to send them to the back, which means that they draw last. That's so that you avoid having a lighter line in front of a line that's supposed to be heavier. Yeah, I think I like that. Okay, and then these go way back, I think, because they are just not that important of an element, so those are going to be reds. And because these are lower on the hierarchy as well, I'm going to go ahead and make them 1s as well. And again, we'll manipulate the draw order so that they go way back too. Okay. Let's make sure I got all these. Well, everything goes on 1. Okay. Turn this back on. Remember, white's still not plotting. So anywhere we have white, it's still not going to show up. Let's go back to the layout and have a look at what we got. Making sure to verify the paper size and everything. Yeah, 30. Okay. I know this is kind of annoying, but yeah. So we're definitely starting to read some of these a little better. It might actually need to, look at it full size to really appreciate what we're seeing. The trouble is there's not a lot of difference between the 0.09 and the 2. You definitely see it as you zoom in, but you may not be seeing it in the plot. And so we might have to really adjust these weights later. This is the kind of thing that you really are going to have to print to understand. Like, I don't like this doubling up here. I think that might be a choice that I'm going to regret. This is kind of more dominant than I want it to be. Yeah. You really aren't going to see some. So some of these might have to be gray. We might have to drop some of these. We might have to drop some of this. But these are the kinds of choices you're making as you're sorting out an elevation. Okay. And again, since we've kind of established a hierarchy, it's going to make it easier later on to change some of those things. So let's go ahead and finish this off though. So I'm going to go ahead, and I think this is kind of further back, and it's not very important to the elevation anyway. So I will. I'm going to go ahead and make it. Let's see. I got a 0.3. Yeah, let's just go ahead and make these. Actually, I'm going to change some things around here. I'm going to go ahead and make these 0.1s. Or sorry, layer ones. I think I need to drop some of these things way back. I think they're standing out more than I want them to. And I think this is going to be a gray one. These really need to drop back. Let's see here. Okay. Take his reds off. Oops. Actually, let's just see what we did there. I might just try plotting the PDF this time so it sticks. Okay. Yeah, I'm liking that better. That drops back like much better. Yeah, that's what we want to do. Now these volumes are reading much better up front than they were. What I don't like though is these parapets, so I'm gonna fix that. So let's go back to the drawing again. So these are just gonna drop down. So it's an orange. I'm just gonna make them. Just gonna pull these back a bit, and then hope that kind of helps it read. You can always do optical corrections. Just for consistency, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this one down to a 2. Let's see how that goes. All right, so we got that. Oh, we got to finish this door. Let's go ahead. I actually think since I did these in this color, that they kind of want to be. And I think if these are orange, then these need to be orange as well. And then we're going to drop this way back. It's going to be a 2. And I might regret that, but we'll see how that goes. But you can see that all my white's pretty much gone. Like I don't really have it anymore. I just have these elements. Let's go back to the layout again. Let's go look at the other layout. I haven't been in this one for the whole drawing. Let's make sure this is all laid out right. Yep. Okay. Okay, it's not too bad. Again, the goal is to say that, this piece is coming out. This piece is back. And this kind of sticks out a little bit, and this is back as well. It's not too bad. This gets a little chunky, though. I don't like how much that stands out. Yeah, that's not going to work. Okay, so let's go back to the drawing. Okay, so I'm going to knock this down to red. Knock these back to green. And we might be able to get away with these as a 3. We will see.
Yeah, that's better. It's not that important that this thing really like stick out so much. And in fact, if we really look at it, that's kind of what we're getting, which I like. Do you see how we fixed the parapet here so it doesn't dominate as much? Like it's not doubling. Yeah, if we zoom out, it's not. Yeah, that's looking pretty good actually. So make sure to look at it at 100% if you're going to look at it. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. It's got pretty good hierarchy. You're not really reading the windows kind of popping out. If you really wanted to, you could go in and add some line weights and maybe put a finer outline around the windows themselves. But we don't really have enough weights to do that effectively. If you go back to the drawing, I mean, we've got the outline, we've got the stuff that slips back, and then we've got the mullions themselves. Um, I mean, we could take a look at this. Let's maybe give that a try. So I'm not sure I'm gonna like it, but let's see, because I might want to define those windows a bit more. So if I go in, that's actually the wrong layer. I want to go to layer 3. I need it to be a layer above this, right? At the very least. So if I go in and I define these, and I'm just going to add like a lip here, and then I'll go to red for the back windows. Now again, if you've got something that's kind of sticking out and it's dominating your pieces, you want to go ahead and change the draw order. Put these in front because we don't want. Ooh, I got a line that's not right. There we go. And draw order front. Okay, I got to control that. Okay. So I like the way the digital drawing reads, but I'm not sure I'm going to like the final drawing. So let's take a look at this. Well, let's look at it 100%. I think it's a little better. I can't say it hurts. I'll tell you what. I mean, I'm really liking it, when I get up close to it. But of course, this isn't what prints. Here I might need to do some sorting because I'm really not seeing that come out very much. I'm not seeing that edge, you know what I'm saying? But definitely there's enough contrast there that really defines those windows in a way that I like. I kind of want this to be a little bit heavier. There's not a lot of distinction between this and that. I might even pull those back slightly. All right, so I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna make these a gray 2. And I think I have this right. And I'm gonna make these a gray 1, and then that'll actually give me a difference between this level and that level. Okay, I think we're getting close here. Yeah, starting to like that better. It's subtle,
but you can kind of see this pull back. You can see these kind of pull out a little bit, and I do think you're starting to see a better edge. Oh, except for that is too heavy. I don't like that. I got the wrong black or the wrong gray in there. Let me make sure I got these right. So gray 3 is 254, 253, 251. Okay. Let's look at that plot style. 0.65. Wow, that's big. 253. Oh, so I really want. Okay. Yeah, so that is going to be. That's the issue. Okay. So I actually did this wrong. So these. That's okay. So we've got the weights that we've got. I'm going to go ahead and undo some stuff here. I'm going to take those out, and I'm going to go ahead and knock these out with the gray 1. And yes, you can do that. I mean, again, these we're talking about as texture, and these we're talking about as something that's really far back. And again, we're just looking at levels, like visual levels. Yeah, I just like the way that looks better. I do kind of want. Yeah, I'm actually fine with that. The goal of it is, let me pop this over here, to really understand this in the way that we see this. Oops. Let me get this over here. Come on, Firefox. Here we go. Alright. My Wi-Fi back on here. There. Okay. So we really get a sense of these two things. And actually, you really have to look at 100%. You can't really zoom around, but you kind of get. Oops, here we go. This, okay. So I pull this over. So you read that these things stick out. You read that this thing pulls back, and you see how this creates the shadow under here. It pulls down. See that this sticks out. This comes under, but you still have the kind of punches here, and you have the punches here. These might end up being, in fact, I feel like they're a little heavy. Yeah, they're too heavy. We really do need to print this to kind of figure this out for real, but that's a refinement that I think I can make pretty comfortably. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to turn these off. So we've got this, and I'll make these 2s. My red's back on. Green's off again. Make these 2s. It's not about. It is about showing what's there, but if you have to compromise showing it the way it exactly is, if you want to give people a sense of the way you want it to feel, the way you want it to read, you should go ahead and do that. This isn't truth. This is a representation. This is a drawing. And what you really want to show is volume and like heaviness versus lightness. It's not necessarily about how you would build it or how it looks in a photograph. It's kind of about how it feels. This takes a long time, and you can see it's. I mean, even as I'm doing this, it's a really iterative process. And it's definitely more of an art than a science. Aha! All right, let's cue this up here and see if I got anything better. I don't know why that's. Oh, stop. There we go. All right. Yeah, better. Better. Because these are like winning. This is pulling back. These are not so heavy anymore. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's what we want. Like that. Liking that quite a bit. I might even knock this down a bit too. I don't think it's that important. Yeah. Yep. I think that's the next thing I'm going to do. Okay, let's go to this again. Let's see, that's a green. So we're just going to make these. Yeah. Turn off the reds. I'm going to make these a 2. Put my reds back on. Make my reds. Don't leave that. That's fine. There. That belongs to the same category as this kind of a move. I'm really liking that. I know that the colors are not exactly what you see, but the way that I'm reading this drawing right now, I can really sort out what's coming in front and what's coming back. And I like that this kind of drops now. I think that's really going to work really successfully. Let's look at the other side of it to really assess that. Go back to the 11x17. Let's get this over here. 100%. Yeah, if I go back to my image. Yeah. This really is popping now in a nice way. Let's take a look at this side. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so as I get a little bit, this just subtly comes out. You have a nicer edge, and this really pulls back. I'm liking that. Not too close together there. Oh yeah, it just gets better. It just gets better as you're looking. If you print this, there are going to be things that you see on the paper that you're not going to read as well on a computer monitor. But this is pretty good. Now this is just black and white. This is just lines on a screen or on the page. To really read elevations, I do think it helps to add color and to add shadow and to really work some of the material qualities in. I think it helps it read so much better. But it starts with an understanding of line and the development of hierarchy within that drawing. And so from here, we're going to go ahead and manipulate this in Illustrator in a video to follow. But at this point, I am pretty satisfied with this drawing. There are probably a few little things that I would do once I print it, but I think it's pretty well sorted out. So if we take a look at what we've got, let's go ahead and turn these off here. I mean, it starts from the ground, and we've actually skipped the 0.5 because it's actually a little bit too close to that ground weight. Okay, and so we make the jump to the 0.5, and then we've identified our main volumes, our masses that are closest to us, and that are dominant in the composition. And then we fill in the secondary masses and the pieces that articulate the door, which are the stair and the overhang. We have punches for well, actually, in this case, actually not punches. We have the windows coming out from that. We've established the parapet, like the edge here. We've established a secondary volume that goes behind here, and the relief, with these pieces here. So we've got that hierarchy, and then we have the
mullions of the pieces that are coming out, which are dominant in the Bauhaus. We have the punches that are inside of this recessed piece. We have our probably mechanical room. And then we add in this recessed hallway, the door details, the mullions on the front pieces, the edges of these pieces, and the mullions in the mechanical. And then finally we use gray to establish the pulled back columns and the mullions of these windows. And that's pretty much our composition. So we have a nice, 5-layer hierarchy, both in terms of volume but also in terms of importance, which is space. So we this is how we create space in an elevation. All right, if you have any questions, talk to your TAs or ask me. Good luck.